Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, ranging from bestsellers to celebrity memoirs, news, business, and self-development. Every month, members get 1 credit to pick any title, plus 2 Audible originals from a monthly selection, and access to daily news digests from the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post, as well as guided meditation programs. Between a full-time job in IT and a full-time job in podcasting, it gets harder and harder to sit down and read the books I'm interested in. This is where Audible comes in. I can listen on my daily commute, relaxing, or while out running errands and still get in the books I've been wanting to get into. You can download titles and listen offline anytime, anywhere. The app is free and can be installed on all smartphones and tablets. Now you can try Audible risk-free with a special 30-day free trial by visiting audibletrial.com/nerdery and murdery. That's audibletrial.com/nerdery and murdery. Don't let your busy life get in the way of that great book you've been wanting to read. Go get your free trial of Audible today. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. This is Geoffrey, and we've talked about many times before that I experience problems and struggles with my mental health, and really without a healthy mind, being truly happy and at peace is hard. The good news is therapy does work. It's helped for me, but what is therapy exactly? It's whatever you want it to be. Maybe you're not feeling motivated right now and would like some tools to help. Or maybe you're feeling insecure in relationships at work, or you're not dealing well with stress. Whatever you need, it's really time to stop being ashamed of normal human struggles, and it's time to start feeling better because you deserve to be happy. And now you don't have to worry about finding an in-person therapist near you to help. BetterHelp is a customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. So join the millions of people who are seeing what online therapy is really about. It's always a good time to invest in yourself because you are your greatest asset. And there's a special offer to Nerdery and Murdery listeners. You can get 10% off your first month of professional therapy at betterhelp.com/nerdery and murdery. That's betterhelp.com/nerdery and murdery. Thanks again to BetterHelp for sponsoring this podcast.
Okay. So I need Luke Cage. I need the guy from The Daily Show and the lady from SCTV to fight demons in Brooklyn for the Catholic Church.
Welcome to episode 190 of Nerdery and Murdery.
Big 190. I'm Zig with your nerdery.
And I'm Geoffrey with your murdery. Welcome to another week of the highs and lows and the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and the nerd and the murd. For those of you who watch us on video, I'm having some computer issues, so my camera will not load. I keep getting system resources, but I've got some Windows updates to do, so I think maybe I'll try that later on.
Windows updates.
Yeah.
Camera drivers, baby.
So you just get to see my name and not my beautiful face today. So, I talk about golfing from time to time. I didn't realize just how dangerous of a sport golfing could be. Yesterday, I was stupidly chasing into the tall grass after a ball that went that direction and ran right into a nice rusty piece of wires or metal fencing, something like that. Cut my leg up a little bit and ended up in the urgent care for a tetanus shot yesterday. So much fun.
Oh,
so much fun.
Sorry, man. Hey, At least it wasn't a Western Diamondback rattlesnake.
No.
You guys have those down there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not hurt bad. It's just an ugly cut on my leg, but
and a painful shot.
It wasn't that bad. It was in the arm, so
yeah. It's not hurting you today.
It's burning a little bit, but it's not bad. the urgent care place nearest to me that takes my insurance, they don't open till 5 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday, and it was 4 o'clock when we got home. Um, so I waited a little bit and headed straight there, and there was already people waiting in the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
I walked up to the door and I was second in line. And then a guy ended up leaving for some reason, so I was first in line. But by the time the doors opened at 5 o'clock, there were 7 or 8 people in line already.
Holy crap.
I got in, got the cut cleaned up, got my shot. When I walked back out into the waiting room, it was full.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So anyway, so much fun. But on the way home, I have to pass by our it's not a community center. I guess maybe it is kind of a community center. I don't know. Anyway,
Like a rec center?
no, it's not a rec center. I'm talking community center like where they show shows, plays, things like that.
Oh, community theater.
Yeah, I think it's a community theater place. I don't remember the name of it, but anyway, happened to see on the marquee next weekend they're doing 9 to 5. I'm gonna go see
Ah,
it. I
I think
want to
you
go see it.
should.
It's
I,
it looks like it's a local school that's putting it on, but I want to go see it.
nice. Nice.
And I looked up the tickets this morning. It's only $20, so it's
Go.
it's a night of entertainment.
Yeah, you and Chelsea could go grab some tacos beforehand or after.
Yeah,
Yeah, go see a good show.
yeah,
Live theater will save your life, man.
I think, and I love 9 to 5. I love 9 to 5 the movie, and I've never seen a stage production of it, so I'm pretty interested in that. So I think we'll go see that next weekend.
Nice.
Um, for those of you listening, I know we're far in the future from when this happened, but last weekend we did do our three-way crossover with three geeky dads and two geeks and a microphone, where we did a crossover of the original two miniseries, the original miniseries and V, the final battle, the TV series, and then the reboot. If you have not listened to those, especially go to those other two shows, Three Geeky Dads, Two Geeks and a Microphone, and listen to the hilarity that ensues. We had so much fun. Six nerdy, geeky guys, all of us middle-aged,
Mhm.
um, just cutting it up and having the greatest time. I've gotten comments already from people. They really enjoyed listening to it. Said we all sound like we had a ton of fun, which we did. It was so
Mhm.
much fun doing that crossover.
Oh yeah.
Um, so if you have not listened to it, go back and listen to those. I think you'll have a ton of fun. It's about
Three
three.
geeky dads first,
Yes,
then two geeks and a microphone, then our show.
yes. Um, and it's about 3 hours worth of entertainment that I think you'll get out of that, and then a very interesting murdery at the end of ours that tied in with it. So
Yeah, because it had to do with Sneeple or snake people.
so go give it a listen. They were a lot of fun. I thank those two the guys from those two shows for agreeing to do that. It was months in the planning.
Mhm.
Um, it's just so much fun. So go listen to that.
Yeah.
That's all I have. Ziggy, got anything, or are you ready to take it over on the nerdy side of the house?
Well, I want to say for those who are liking our videos and stuff on TikTok and all the other platforms, it may be a little rough. TikTok was where I made those, and since it's gone dark, it has been hard to make them. So I'm still trying. I'm gonna put it out on everything else. So
Gone dark,
yeah, TikTok went dark last night.
like permanently?
Far as we know. I
Oh, is
mean,
it that thing where they banned them?
uh
Oh, I did not know that TikTok.
oh
I
yeah.
had heard that there was a push to ban it because it is um uh
That's not why it got banned. It got banned because everybody invested in meta stock. I mean, no offense, but both sides of the aisle, our Congress and our Supreme Court are the best that money can buy.
hmm. um Well, I mean, the message behind it was that it was foreign controlled and they were potentially using it to gain access into the U.S. So,
Yeah, it's because they all own stock in Meta.
uh,
It's
interesting.
yeah, and again, I want to say this anti-politically, it's both sides.
Hmm.
It was a 9-0 Supreme Court ruling.
Hmm.
Never happens.
Well, I don't know anything about that portion of it. I stay in a media void most of the time.
Right on.
Every now and then, I just get something like we did have some deaths this week. David Lynch died this week,
Oh my God, I'm inconsolable about this. And Bob Euchre.
and Bob Uecker, yes, and then a British lady. Uh, did I see it was Laurence Olivier's wife?
Oh
She was an
no.
actress.
Yeah, she was in the
She,
kitchen sink drama
she
that
won an Oscar. She won an Oscar.
yeah, that Sheila Delaney did. Oh my God. Um Morrissey profiled her in like half of the Smiths' early stuff. She was
Uh,
great.
Laurence Olivier wife. Bum bum bum. Oh no, no, wait, hold on. Was it?
Joan Plowright.
Yeah, Joan Plowright. Yeah, she died this week too. That's it. Um, Vivian Leigh was one of his other
Yeah.
wives, but yeah, Joan Plowright. So yeah, that was our trifecta this week.
Sad.
Quite very much, very much. All right, well, Zig, why don't you take us over onto the nerdery side of the house?
Excellent. Today we're going to talk about Evil, the series.
So I have had Evil on my radar for a while,
Hmm.
since the trailer first came out, but I never started into it.
Hmm.
Um, since I saw that you were getting into it and we had just finished up a series this week, we started into Evil. We are in season one, episode. Hold, please.
Okay.
Let me. I can because I can tell you where we are. Um, so I know we're in season one. Season one, episode. I want to say 9 or 10. Uh, yeah, we just finished episode 10.
Hmm.
Um, and let me say this about episode 10. I was very pissed off about episode 10 because
Hmm.
that's the Christmas song, and that became an earworm, just like they
Yep.
intended it to be.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, all I can say about this, cre creepy little girls creep the shit out of me, and this show is chock full of them.
Oh my God, this show's creepy as shit. I think that's the whole point. It just,
Yes, the show is creepy as shit.
yeah, that's what kind of why I wanted to do it. It's for those uninitiated. It is an American supernatural drama television series created by Robert and Michelle King that premiered on September 26, 2019 on CBS before moving to Paramount Plus. It features an ensemble cast led by Katja Herbers, Mike Coulter, and Asif Mandi, as three individuals from vastly different backgrounds who are tasked by the Catholic Church to investigate possible supernatural incidents. The series is produced by CBS Studios and King Size Productions. The series was filmed in Astoria, New York, and Brooklyn. And in May of 2021, it was confirmed that the series would be moving to Paramount Plus, where the second season, originally greenlit in October 2019, premiered on June 20th, 2021. Third premiered on June 12th, 2022, and the series being renewed for a fourth season the following month. On February 15th, 2024, it was announced that the fourth season was scheduled to premiere on May 23rd, 2024, and that it would be the final season of the show with a total of 14 episodes. So,
There is talk out there about a streaming service picking it up for a
yeah,
fifth.
it is distinctly possible. The thing about Evil is they're all real tight. I don't think there's a season that's more than like 15 episodes. They're all real short and real quick,
Well, I mean,
and real fucking creepy.
they're TV length. I mean, if you watch it live, it's going to be an hour long show. If you watch
Yeah.
it streaming, they're 42-minute shows.
Yes.
So it's pretty standard.
No. I meant the series itself. They didn't do like 20 episodes for
Oh
anything.
yeah, nobody does that anymore.
There's still a few series. A lot of sitcoms are still, 19 to 20 episodes.
Mm.
But no, this show wasn't about that. It was basically built to be a creepy little X-Files type
And
show.
and and I was going to say that exact point. If you liked X-Files, you will like this show.
Yes.
It's very similar in that you have a believer
Hmm.
and two non-believers in this one, whereas you just had a non-believer in X-Files. Um, and every episode is there's some crossover between episodes from what I've seen so far. And some episodes are very specific,
Hmm.
while others are very conspiracy specific, very much like
Yes.
the X-Files.
Yes. Yes. Basically, we've got a forensic psychologist, Dr. Kirsten Bouchard, played by Katja Herbers. Uh, she made a career as an expert witness and is offered a new job as assessor by David, an agnostic who does not believe in demons or the supernatural. Uh, and she finds her skepticism tested many times as her new job leads her to walk a thin line between the explained and what science can account for.
Hold that thought. Where did you get that David's an agnostic? Where did you get that?
No,
He,
she is an agnostic.
oh, I thought you said David was. I'm like,
No, oh yeah, that note is
no.
kind of funky. No, she's an agnostic, but David's a priest.
He's a priest
He's
in training.
Yeah, he's a former war journalist studying to be a Catholic priest. He's an
Yes.
assessor tasked with investigating, confirming events such as miracles and reports of demons, leading him to enlist the help of both Kristen and Ben. Um, he is a believer in the existence of both godly and demonic events. And he has divine-like visions, which he achieved by taking hallucinogens, and is more inclined than the other two assessors to accept supernatural explanations. In season 3, he completes his training and becomes a full priest. You have Asif Mandi from The Daily Show, an
Hmm.
atheist raised in the religion of Islam, who is the team's technical expert and equipment handler, a sarcastic, pragmatic man who looks down on religious institutions and belief in the supernatural.
I love him in this
Yeah.
show.
Oh my God, Asif Mandi is so funny anyway.
Ben the Magnificent.
Yes, Ben the Magnificent.
He is so great. And one of the episodes that we got to see is when he went on um, a TV show that was reminiscent of like Ghost Hunters or Zach Baggins, and they were obviously ragging on Baggins
Oh yeah.
in that
Oh yeah.
episode.
Yes, they were. You had Kurt Fuller as Dr. Kurt Boggs, a psychiatrist and Kristen's therapist who gradually finds himself involved in some of Kristen's encounters with the supernatural. Um, Marty Matalis, and many of the creatures featured in the series include the following recurring characters: George, a demon who appears to Kristen in her dreams, voiced by an uncredited Ewan Morton. In The Devil's Therapist, a goat-like demon who is Leland Townsend's therapist.
He's
Uh,
creepy as hell.
yeah, the manager demon, a five-eyed goat-like demon who is Cheryl's work supervisor, voiced by an uncredited Kevin Chapman. Um, yeah, a lot of these people are either tied to demons or are actually demons. Michael Emerson is Dr. Leland Townsend, a forensic psychologist who is Kristen's professional rival and seems obsessed with her family. Secretly, he's an expert in the occult who is obsessed with encouraging others to commit evil acts. He looks down on religion and holds particular contempt for David and Sister Andrea. Sister Andrea is Andrea Martin from SCTV fame.
Haven't gotten to her yet.
Yeah, she's season 3 to 4. She's recurring in season 2. She's a smart, no-nonsense nun who advises David and opposes Townsend. Unlike most humans, she's capable of seeing demons when they walk in the living world. So when everybody else sees a person, she sees the actual demon and fervently faces them and the humans who worship them, notably Townsend, who immediately comes to hate her.
where I am in the series, they've just introduced Peter Scolari from Newhart as the
Yes,
new bishop.
yes. And he passed away while they were making this show,
Oh,
unfortunately.
really?
Yeah,
Really? Hmm.
yeah. Um, CBS ordered a pilot for the potential series in January 2019, created by the writing team of Robert and Michelle King. Katja Herbers and Mike Coulter were cast in February, with Michael Emerson and Asif Mandi cast in March. A series order was officially made in May of 2019. A day after that, it was announced the series would premiere in the fall of 2019 and aired on Thursday nights at 10 p.m. during the 2019 to 2020 television season. Um, Christine Lahti was cast as Cheryl Luria, replacing Deidre O'Connor, who was in the original pilot. And it was announced that Kurt Fuller would guest star in the pilot, and he's been promoted to a series regular. The series debuted on September 26, 2019. CBS renewed the series for a second season. The filming of the second season was delayed due to the pandemic, but it concluded on June 2021, and then it moved over to Paramount Plus. Um, the pacing is a little different from season 2 to 4.
Interesting. Okay.
Again, you've got them. They're like 10 episodes, and I think the next one is like 14, and then the last one is 14. They also got busted up by the writer strike. Um, they kind of got ringed because you remember there was a writer strike when they were making was it The Ring? The Tim
Uh,
Kring show about the superheroes.
Heroes.
Heroes, yeah. Oh, because of the ring around the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the heroes ran into that problem too. The writers would quit and, or be on strike, and they'd have to get them back in, and there was a problem. This show kind of uh, faced some of those same problems.
Well, I can tell you that the first season, which, like I said, that's all I'm in right now, and I mean, I like it. I'm going to keep watching it. Um,
Yeah.
the episodes are a little disjointed.
Yes. Yeah.
They
They
kind of,
get a little better for 2, 3, and 4, especially once they introduce Andrea Martin. She's kind of the glue that holds that team together.
well, the episodes kind of sometimes end a little abruptly or
Hmm.
weird.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, it's a little disjointed, but not so much that I'm not enjoying it. Because, like I
Yeah.
said, I'm enjoying it immensely. It is just, I cannot stress this enough. For a CBS TV show,
Hmm.
this show is creepy as hell.
Oh,
It has
creepy
jump
as
scares.
fuck.
Um,
Demons walking around.
yes,
Some people could see them, some people can't. Some people
right.
see them as people and just have a weird smell. Why does he have that smell? His cologne is terrible. It's this fucking demon.
Um, there's an episode where um and I won't ruin it by giving this away, but I'll just say this. There's an episode where somebody they are investigating after they think that they have resolved this person's problems.
Mhm.
Um, they literally walk out onto the balcony of, oh, I don't know, it's a at least a 15-story building, walk out on the balcony and just jump.
Just jump.
Yeah, and you only see it as a blur in the background as they
Hmm.
do it, and it's just messed up.
Uh, Christine Lahti is great. She she's the mother of the psychiatrist, Kristen. Uh, she ends up she's real supportive, but she kind of ends up kind of fallen for Leland and some of the other demon people. Later on, you will find out, and it really starts to divide them up. Uh,
Hmm.
I I love her in this.
She's really good. The and I know they're doing it intentionally, but all the scenes with her daughters will
Mhm.
sometimes get annoying because all four daughters scream at once all the
Yes,
time. Whenever they're
yes,
talking, they're all trying to talk over each other, and it's
uh-huh.
constant.
See, that was one of the things that I really liked about the show, because I've lived in that household. Yeah, happens all the time, and it's crazy and it's chaotic and it's it's usually going down when there's some trouble brewing.
Yeah.
And they have this beautiful little house with this little outside area for the mom stays in, and but it's like right underneath a train bridge.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, it's just brilliant. There's all this chaos going on in the house and outside the house, and of course she's running around with demons and stuff. Oh my God,
Did
I
you
I
did
think
you
that was for the creep factor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Because
think
it's
so too.
off-putting.
Yeah. It's very off-putting because it is. It's this very charming little house with a charming little side house that Christine has her office in.
Mhm.
A little beautiful little yard, and yeah, it's directly under a train track, under a subway or an L,
Yeah, yeah.
basically.
And it's pretty. The L is pretty high up, but it's still loud.
Did you did your little geek pants go crazy the first exorcism episode where Christine's psychologist arrived and they took the shot, it was almost shot for shot straight out of The Exorcist with Father Merrick stepping out of the car under the street light wearing the fedora. I was like, "Oh my God, this was taken straight from The
Right from
Exorcist."
The Exorcist. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They cribbed a bunch of stuff from The Exorcist. Every once in a while, the demons will kind of peer out of a dark corner,
Hmm.
just like oh God, what is his name? Captain.
Captain Howdy.
Yeah, Captain Howdy. Yeah, they'll kind of peer out like Captain Howdy's like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Um, it would be nice to see a fifth season. They kind of wrapped up the fourth, but then kind of not.
Well,
But
the creators, Robert and Michelle King, I saw on, I think it was on Screen Rant,
mhm,
that they very intentionally wrapped everything up so
mhm.
that it was wrapped up in a neat little bow, which of course I haven't hit the end yet, so I don't know that.
Yeah, they
Um,
kind of the last four episodes are kind of like a mini fifth season, is the way they
okay.
described it.
But
Yeah,
there are talks of reviving it to another streaming service. We're watching it on Netflix, so
yeah,
could be Netflix that picks it up. Who knows?
yeah. I know that they're after it runs on Paramount Plus, they lease it out to Netflix, but it's still
Yeah.
on Paramount Plus. It's a good show. I ended up kind of binging it when I was thinking about doing a show. I was like, oh man, we should do that evil show. Because I'd just seen a little bit of it and I thought, oh man, that's really good. The acting's good, the writing's good. The creep factor is really high. And again, it's not just jump scares. It's everybody talking at once, and it's the train going overhead. It's bubbling. And
Well,
you'll find yourself on the edge of your seat going, let's get to the demon stuff. We have to resolve this. They don't resolve everything. Not
no,
everything gets resolved.
and like I said, in season one so far, there have been a multitude of creepy little girls,
Uh-huh.
which that takes me straight to The Shining,
The Shining.
with
The
with
Shining.
the creepy little twins. I think in horror movies, using creepy little girls are just scary as shit.
Uh-huh. Creepy little girls and dolls, man.
Yes.
Creepy little girls and dolls. That's the way to get it. And they use both of them amazingly.
Um.
And the demon effects are really good too.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Really, really good.
George is pretty hokey. I don't know if there's others, but the demon she's seeing in her dreams in season one,
Mhm.
he can sometimes be a little hokey. The the imagination of him reminded me a little bit of uh um why have I forgotten his name? The demon in The Golden Child. Tyler
Oh,
Numsey. Numsey.
Noopsie. Yeah.
Um
Yeah, and there's drawing from the character of Doyle from Angel, which was like my favorite demon character.
mhm.
But you didn't get so much of Doyle all the time, and I think he died in like the 10th episode. Um, but yeah, I got is he necessarily helping them, or is he just there to hurt them? And sometimes he kind of helps them. It's weird.
I guess I haven't come across Doyle yet.
Oh no, Doyle was an angel.
Oh yeah, I haven't come
This year's
across
angel.
Doyle. I haven't come across Doyle yet.
Yeah. No,
I
in the
did.
series Angel.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yes.
I did. Excuse me. I was very impressed with the research that's done for this show.
Hmm.
I took a screen grab because when they unfolded the codex that the guys from the Vatican brought, and it had the 60 symbols on it, because the whole thing is there's apparently 60 demons out there.
Hmm.
Um, and it has the codec has a map basically of all the 60 demons that are inhabiting the earth. But I looked at it and I was like, man, those look really familiar. And I took a screen grab, and sure enough, it was. Um, so many years ago, there was a pendant maker at Scarborough Fair
Yes.
that would strike metal coins into symbols,
Yes.
and sell them as pendants. And I bought one, which they advertised as uh, good luck, good health, something like that. It was something, something blah, 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 blah. Well, I happened to take it home and look it up on the internet, and what the symbol was the sign of Visago, which is a ninth principal demon of hell. And I was like, are
The
you fucking kidding me? But anyway, I looked, and in that map is the Visago.
Visago. Yeah.
So I was very impressed with their research on that.
Yes. Yeah, they got real granular. Like, well, and they're pulling the scenes from The Exorcist and some stuff from Angel and Buffy, and
Hmm.
they were pulling stuff from everywhere. So I was pretty happy with the series altogether. I would like to see some more of it. I do like the way it ended. And again, once you get to Andrea Martin, she will rapidly become your favorite character.
Hmm.
Sister Andrea. So, but again, she doesn't really pop up until the second season. And there's a demon that talks to her like every night. And they get fake. Matter of fact, one of the scenes that we've got in our playlist is her talking to that demon. So yeah, you go into our YouTube playlist, you'll see some of the stuff with Andrea Martin and some of the other characters like the psychologist and a lot of the demons and things like that. I just wanted to get some of those really juicy things in there. I I love this series. I think it's great. Something I could probably watch again. Because I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I have as well so far. Like I said, it's I haven't been upset about any episode. I thought they've all been really good.
Hmm.
I can't wait to continue on with this, which since the weather's dropped here, we're gonna probably sit around and watch that all afternoon.
Hmm.
Get more in about that. But yeah, I'm really glad that I finally, because like I said, I had this on my radar for a while because I enjoyed the trailer when it was first announced.
Hmm.
So glad that I finally sat down to watch it.
Sit down and watched it.
Yeah,
Groovy, groovy, groovy.
cool. All right. With that, I invite everybody to go out and take a look at Evil. I think you will enjoy it.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. The first two seasons I think are on Netflix right now,
They're
and
all they're all on Netflix.
they're all on Netflix.
Yep.
Okay, cool, cool.
Yep.
They're also on Paramount Plus.
Yes. Yeah, you can get them either direction. So awesome. With that, we'll step over to the murdery side of the house.
Murder.
Um, for today, I got my information off Medium, Uncovered, Wikipedia, Hub Pages, and NBC5 DFW.
DF Dubs, baby.
This is the disappearance of the Fort Worth trio.
Uh.
Yes. I've known about
Seminary South.
I've known about this one for a long time. Hadn't on my list, so I finally dove into this one. Um, it's very interesting. In December of 1974, three girls mysteriously vanished from a Fort Worth mall, Seminary South, while Christmas shopping. No trace of them has ever been found. 2 days before Christmas in 1974, three girls in Fort Worth, Texas became the center of a baffling mystery when they disappeared without a trace from a shopping mall where they had gone to pick up some last minute gifts. Mary Rachel Tr Trilicia, I think is what it is, who went by Rachel, was a 17-year-old high school student at Southwest High School in Fort Worth, Texas,
Your alma mater.
my alma mater. Um, Rachel was a white female who was married to 21-year-old Thomas Trilcia, despite still being a high school student. Rachel had a sister, Deborah, who was living with the couple because of difficulties with her then boyfriend. Thomas, who went by Tommy, had a two-year-old son, Sean, whom Rachel looked after as her own. Rachel was 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighed approximately 108 pounds. She had long brown hair, green eyes, a chipped upper front tooth, and a small scar on her chin. And she drove a 1972 Oldsmobile 98, and those things were boats.
Yeah, that's a big old car.
Lisa Renee Wilson, who also went by her middle name, was a 14-year-old girl living in Fort Worth and was friends with Rachel. Renee was a white female who had a boyfriend, Terry Mosley, who had just given her a promise ring. Renee stood at approximately 5 feet 2 and weighed 110 pounds. She had light wavy brown hair, brown eyes, and a scar on the inside of one of her thighs. Clothing she was known to be wearing when she disappeared includes bluish purple hip hugger pants, a white pullover sweatshirt with "Sweet Honesty" in green letters, although some have reported as a pale yellow t-shirt with green letters, red and white Oxford shoes, and a promise ring with a single clear stone. Julianne Mosley, age 9, was the younger sister of Renee's boyfriend, Terry. She was a white female with shoulder-length sandy brown hair and blue eyes. She had a small scar under her left eye, a scar in the middle of her forehead, and a scar on the back of her calf. Being so young, Julie just stood at 4 feet 3 inches tall and weighed about 85 pounds. Clothing she was known to be wearing when she disappeared included a red shirt with dark jeans and red tennis shoes. And while Julie didn't know Rachel, she knew Renee through her brother, and it wasn't uncommon for the two to spend time together. She lived across the street from Rachel's grandmother's house. So on the morning of December 23rd, 1974, Rachel and Renee planned a trip to the mall for some last-minute Christmas shopping. Originally, Renee had asked her boyfriend Terry to go to the mall with him, but he had plans to visit a friend. Renee was adamant that they should return by 4 p.m. so she could attend a Christmas party with Terry. Seizing an opportunity to get out of the house, Terry's sister Julie asked if she could tag along, and Renee said it was okay as long as she got permission from her mother. Rayanne Mosley was hesitant because she didn't know Rachel, but eventually, after pleading from Julie, Mrs. Mosley said yes, feeling a bit more at ease because of her trust in Renee. Rayanne would later recall, quote, "I was working for an electrical contractor and my husband and I were separated. It was a bitter, bitter time. I remember that Julie called and wanted to go to Seminary South. I said, no, you don't have any money. You just stay home. I knew Renee and her mother, but I didn't really know Rachel. But Julie kept whining about how she wouldn't have anybody to play with. I finally gave in, but I told her to be home by 6. So, Seminary South Mall. At one time, it was a very vibrant, active mall.
Yep.
Constantly packed.
This early on, it was basically open aired in the middle,
Yes.
and I think at this time it was still open aired, or they
It may have
enclosed
been. It
it.
was 1974. It may have been.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't go to Seminary South for the first time until the 80s, but
Yeah.
Seminary, excuse me, Seminary South had a great movie theater, um, a lot of great stores. People would hang out there. Um, During my time when I was going to malls, Hewlin Mall was probably the most popular mall in
Hmm.
South Fort Worth because it was newer, and had the big arcade. Uh, wasn't Aladdin's Castle because Spaceport was at Ridgemar. Maybe it
Hmm.
was Aladdin's Castle.
Yeah.
No,
Aladdin's,
no, Gold Mine.
it was the gold mine.
Gold Mine. But anyway, so Seminary South was very vibrant. It was very active. Um, it started to go downhill in the late 80s.
Hmm.
Seminary South Mall now is a little scary place. It's very gang overridden, and is fallen into a lot of disrepair. I'm surprised the Seminary South is still open, to be
And in the
honest.
last couple of years, it's come back up.
Is it coming back?
Yeah, it's a lot more vibrant. Ridgemar is
Dead.
Ridgemar's yeah, just about dead. But believe it or not, some local businesses
Hmm.
like a used toy store, vintage games and stuff like that are
Hmm.
coming back. So our malls may see a bit of an insurgence. Seminary South now is beautiful. It's not called Seminary South. It's called La Grande Plaza. Um, Mostly it caters to a mostly Spanish speaking
Right.
um, community now because it's a mostly Spanish speaking area.
Right.
But they've really cleaned it up. It's really nice. It's
Oh, that's good to hear because, like I said, I remember in the
Oh, in
80s
the
when it
90s
was.
it was
Oh
rough.
yeah, you didn't go to Seminary South. If you weren't a part of a gang, you did not go to Seminary South. You might not make it out.
It was rough.
So anyway, just before noon, Rachel. And let me back up. The reason I say that is because this was in the 70s when it was vibrant and it wasn't considered dangerous to go to.
No,
That's why I talked about this is to point that out.
it was basically the first mall in the county too.
Right.
Yeah, because they built it in the early 60s. And in the late 70s, they enclosed the outdoor area. I
Hmm.
was just looking it up. Um, but yeah, I can remember in the mid 80s going there because there were a couple of shops that um like punk rock clothiers and stuff that you couldn't get anywhere else but Seminary South unless you went to Dallas.
Which I didn't do in the 80s.
No.
So anyway, just before noon, Rachel picked up both Renee and Julie in her Oldsmobile 98. The three girls set off towards the mall, stopping at a surplus store along the way so Renee could pick up some items she had previously placed on layaway. In the early afternoon hours, the girls arrived at Seminary South. Rachel parked her car on the top level of the Sears parking lot. And this is the last confirmed detail investigators have in what would become a very complex mystery. The girls did not return home by 4 p.m. that day, despite telling their loved ones they would be back by then. The families became immediately concerned when they didn't return, and the families of all three girls made their way to Seminary South. And when they arrived, they located Rachel's Oldsmobile 98 still sitting in the Sears upper lot. The vehicle was locked, and contrary to a popularly misreported fact, the vehicle was not full of shopping bags. Rather, the only items in the vehicle were the layaway items and a small wrap present Renee had brought for Rachel's stepson, Sean. It appeared that the girls had never returned to the vehicle, and they did call police who responded to the scene. The Four Star Telegram had reported that the girls' fathers arrived at the mall armed with shotguns and the intention to guard the car. Reports indicate that in addition to searching the mall, the family asked store managers to page the girls over the intercom systems, but neither of these yielded any results. Witnesses told police they had seen the girls at the shopping mall, and these reports seemed legitimate as they correctly identified the phrase sweet honesty on the shirt Renee had been wearing. So, as police often do in these cases, local authorities assume that the girls had, say it with me, church, run away.
Run away.
Um, Certainly, it would be much easier to assume the girls had run away together, but honestly, it didn't make any sense. Rachel was happily married with a stepson she adored. Renee was head over heels in love with her boyfriend, who she had a promise ring for, and Julie wasn't even 10 yet. So
Yeah.
the motivation to randomly decide to run away is really what's kind of missing from this case. Yet police pursued this as their only theory.
For a
And
decade.
well, and one of my thoughts on it, if they were running away, why not take the car?
Yeah,
This was
exactly.
this was before the age of the superhighway and fast information. They
Hmm.
wouldn't necessarily be able to be on the lookout for this car across the state quickly.
No, they could have
Uh,
been long. And back then, it was a lot easier to travel
sure,
through the state. I mean,
sure.
you know,
You
it's
didn't
like a
have
20th of the traffic we have now.
you didn't have cameras everywhere. You didn't
Mm-mm.
have. It's just I just kind of thought it odd they didn't take the car. But anyway, the next day, which was Christmas Eve, 1974, the Star Telegram reported on the missing girls. Um, And even though the police thought the girls had run away, they still provided their reports to the local paper. In the story that was run, the Star Telegram reported that although the police did not suspect foul play, they did concede that the girls had never run away before, and the families insisted that would be out of character for them. Locals were reading about the girl's disappearance, and Rachel's husband, Tommy, was reading something else entirely because that same morning, Tommy had received a letter in the mail. The letter read, quote, I know I'm going to catch it, but we had to get away. We're going to Houston. See you in about a week. The car is in Sears upper lot. Love, Rachel. Again, this did not make sense to leave the car. Going
No.
to Houston, even if they were just going to run away for the week. And I thought maybe it was to avoid law enforcement looking for the car,
Hmm.
but
If
it
it
still
wasn't in
does
any of their names,
but it still doesn't make sense.
why not just take the car? Because by the
Yeah.
time they started to look for them, they would have been almost to Houston. Depending on what part of Houston, they would have already been there.
Houston was a big city then. It's a big city now. It's a big city then. They could have easily gotten lost in the city taking the car if they were only planning to spend a week, especially. I mean, how
Hmm.
were they getting back and forth?
Yeah,
Um,
with somebody picking them up.
yeah, I just don't know. So much about it is really kind of weird to me. But anyway, at first glance, this would really seem like the confirmation that police were right after all this letter. However, there was something rather multiple somethings off about the letter. First and foremost, the letter had been addressed to Thomas A. Trilicia.
Hmm.
Rachel never referred to her husband as Thomas and always as Tommy.
Yep.
Secondly, in Rachel's signature, there was a very glaring error. The last letter of her name was initially written as a lowercase e, as in
Hmm.
Rachie, instead of Rachel, and then someone corrected it and printed it on top of the letter.
What?
Um, the letter was entirely written in ink, but the envelope was addressed in pencil. And despite writing out Tommy's full name, the sender's information on the top left simply said Rachel. There was also strange irregularities with the postmark on the envelope. There was no city listed, only a smudged zip code. And as best investigators could tell, the postmark either came from Eliasville or Weatherford, which were both cities in Texas.
Not in the direction of Houston.
No. Rachel's family, along with her husband, did not believe Rachel wrote this letter. The other families were also shown the letter, and they too held to their beliefs the girls had not run away. And the Christmas Day evening edition of the Star Telegram printed an article with the headline that read, Missing Girls Letter Discounted by Police. Renee's mother, Judy Wilson, pointed out how much Renee was looking forward to going to the Christmas party that evening and that no 9-year-old girl would run away 2 days before Christmas.
Mm-mm.
Um, she said, quote, a lot of people think that they left with someone they knew, but I'll always think until the day I die that the girls were taken. FBI analysis of the letter and handwriting has not been able to prove or disprove that Rachel authored the letter. The families of the missing girls never believed for a moment that their daughters had run away. They distributed missing person flyers like wildfire throughout Fort Worth and the entire state. They reached out to local and non-local newspapers, hoping to share the girl's story as far and wide as they could. And thanks to these efforts, there were a few tips that were received. There was a store clerk who came forward around the time of the girl's disappearance and said that a woman had told her she had seen the girls at the mall that day. The woman reported she saw the three girls being forced into a yellow pickup truck near Buddy's grocery store at the mall, and the truck was described as having lights on top of it. The witness could never be located by police, and the story was never verified. At the beginning of the following year, a young man who claimed to be a friend of Rachel's came forward. He said he had seen the three girls in the records section of a department store inside the mall just before they had gone missing. This individual claimed to have spoken with Rachel during the encounter. And most chillingly, the witness reported that the girls were not alone, there was someone else with them. Aside from the few tips that came in, the investigation was going nowhere. The police were still believing that the girls had run away. Rachel had written the letter to prove their theory, and that was that. However, even if Rachel had written the letter, she told her husband she would see him in a week, and a lot longer than a week had passed without her returning. 6 weeks after their disappearance, Julie's mom received a mysterious phone call around 11 p.m. The person on the other end said "Mama" and moaned and said she was Julie Mosley when asked. Investigators believe, though, that this was just a horrible prank. The family became incredibly frustrated with police refusing to help them find their daughters, and as a result, they hired private investigators. One such private investigator, Dan James, claimed that through the course of conducting interviews with friends of the missing girls, as well as two people who had been living in an RV in Tommy and Rachel's backyard, he learned that Rachel, Tommy, and Deborah, their roommate, Rachel's older sister, had been arguing in the weeks leading up to Rachel's disappearance. There is some context why this may or may not be important. Deborah was Tommy's ex-fiance,
Mhm.
and not long after his breakup with Deborah, Tommy began dating and eventually married Rachel. The three were living together in December of 74, and though this sounds like a very uncomfortable and emotional situation from an outside perspective, Deborah claimed there was no ill will whatsoever between herself and her sister or between her and Tommy. James also allegedly learned that a physical altercation had occurred between Rachel, Deborah, and Tommy at a bowling alley just the day before the girls went missing. If this is true, it's unclear what precipitated the fight or who got physical with whom.
Mhm.
Deborah, for her most part, claimed they had played canasta together the night before and made no mention of a fight. Dan James also believes that Tommy and Deborah were having an affair and stated that friends of Rachel's had said she was having multiple affairs of her own as well. Another PI that was hired was John Swaim. He took over working for the case on behalf of the three families. In April of 75, Swaim traveled to Port Lavaca, Texas, along with about 100 volunteers after he received a tip that the girls had been murdered and dumped there. Swaim and the volunteers spent hours searching under bridges looking for evidence that might substantiate the claims, but they found nothing. In August of 75, Swaim learned of a local 28-year-old man engaging in some particularly unsavory practices. This man worked for a store in Fort Worth, and he had been making obscene and unwanted phone calls to young women who had either submitted job applications or been listed as a reference. The very store he worked at was one that Rachel had applied to. Furthermore, this suspect lived in the same neighborhood as Rachel's parents up until just before Rachel and Tommy married and moved out. In the end, though, even though these circumstances were strange, nothing came of this, and the suspect could not be tied to any of the girls beyond this. A potential person of interest identified by James was Rachel's father, Raymond Cotton Arnold. He was alleged to have been physically abusive towards both of his daughters, which was said to be the main reason that both had moved out of their family home. Investigator Dan James went on to state that his investigation had turned up evidence that Arnold was inappropriately involved with a number of underage girls and that he was possibly even sexually abusive towards his own daughters.
Oh, wow.
This brings us to a particularly disturbing theory given by Dan James that Rachel had been 6 to 8 weeks pregnant and that Arnold himself may have been the father.
Oh, wow.
James cited medical records supposedly proving her pregnancy, but these were never released to the public. And there doesn't seem to be any other evidence supporting this theory, and it seems to be merely the conjecture of Dan James. Cotton Arnold, who was terminally ill with stage 4 cancer when his daughter was missing, died just 4 months later. Rusty Arnold, Rachel's younger brother, once suspected Deborah of being involved in her disappearance on the basis of what he was told by Dan James. He has since changed his mind on that point, however, and determinedly continues to search for clues as to what happened to his sister. Tommy did briefly offer a $2,000 reward for information leading to the whereabouts of his wife, but withdrew the reward that same year and moved away. In March of 76, the families received a tip from a reported psychic who told them the girls were located near an oil well. This lead was investigated, as well as one is able to investigate a generic tip from a psychic. And a search happened near Rising Star, Texas, but nothing was found. Also in 76, about a year after the Port Lavaca search, 3 human skeletons were found in Brazoria County, Texas, in Brazoria County, Texas, by a team of oil drilling employees. The psychic did say the girls would be found near an oil well, and since 3 skeletons were found, this looked to be the most promising lead yet. In the end, though, these bones did not belong to any of the 3 missing girls, but to a teenage boy and 2 other girls whose dental records did not match Rachel, Renee, or Julie. 2 years after their disappearance, Rachel's husband Tommy dissolved the marriage and moved away. On the fourth anniversary of their disappearance, police confessed they had little evidence as to what happened to the girls. One witness eventually came forward and claimed they saw the girls with a mall security guard, while another claimed to have seen the girls being forced into a truck by an unknown man. In 1979, Swaim, who had been leading the investigation, died suddenly. He died of a drug overdose, and his death was ruled a suicide. Allegedly, he offered all of his case files on the Fort Worth trio to be destroyed upon his death. So the families were back to the drawing board and completely alone. A few years later, in the spring of '81, authorities were called back to Brazoria County to investigate human remains found in a bog. Ultimately, these bones were not a match for any of the three girls either. But no matter what, the families were still fighting for closure. Also in '81, years after the disappearance, a man said he had been in the parking lot that day and seen a man forcing a girl into a van. The man in the van told him it was a family dispute and to stay out of it. Again, I said that in our exclusive episode. That was the 70s and 80s.
Yep.
In 2001, the case was officially reopened by the Fort Worth police and assigned to homicide detective Tom Bocher. According to him, he believes that the girls willingly left the mall with someone they recognized, knew, or even trusted. He said, quote, "We can say that they were at one point seen with one individual, but we believe there was more than one involved." In April of 2001, Bill Hutchins, who was a former police officer and security guard at Seminary South Sears Outlet, said he saw the three girls with a security guard on the night they disappeared. The families of the Fort Worth trio have never given up the search. Investigators received numerous tips over the years, but have yet to come up with definitive leads. In 2018, authorities retrieved two vehicles that were sunk in Benbrook Lake, which purportedly were connected to the case, but this ultimately led nowhere.
Yeah, I remember that.
In 2023, Clear Channel, in collaboration with the Texas Center for the Missing and the National Children for Missing and Exploited Children, began a campaign to generate new leads. They placed billboards across North Texas featuring age-progressed photos of the three girls. And Clear Channel hosted a month-long public campaign for the Fort Worth trio in honor of National Missing Children's Day. On December 23rd, 2024, the girls had been officially missing for 50 years. The families have remained dedicated to finding answers, but with so much time elapsed, the mystery may remain unsolved. Sadly, all of the parents of the girls have passed away except for Rachel and Rusty's mother. Whatever happened to the Fort Worth trio, it's unlikely they ran away on their own accord. I don't believe that in the least little bit. There's too much weirdness around it for them to have just run away. Something has happened to them. I think somebody took them. I completely agree with the families of that.
Somebody took them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if they were leaving, why wouldn't they take the car? The car ran.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the key right there. But it is still an open case. If there's anyone who has information or potential leads, you are encouraged to contact the Fort Worth Police by emailing coldcase@fortworthpd.com, calling the Fort Worth Police Department at 817-335-4222, or contact the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, at 800-THE-LOST. That's 800-843-5678. And that's the story of the disappearance of the Fort Worth trio.
Well, thank you for that, sir. I basically heard about this most of my life.
Yeah.
It was just a big mystery.
Yeah. And I don't know that it's ever going to be solved. So little evidence to go off of, and the fact that they just disappeared. There were no cameras back then. Anything like that. It's wild. I think that's a wild story. And like I said, one I'd wanted to cover for a while. So appreciate you taking the journey with me on that.
Sure.
That will take us to the end of another recording week. As always, you can find more information about us on nerdandmurd.com. That's our hub for everything that we talk about. You'll find links to what we talk about in this episode, plus pictures, and you will find the link to our YouTube page, which Zig so often updates.
That's right. There's a lot of really creepy stuff about evil on there. You guys would enjoy that. Check it out.
Yeah, I think my afternoon's going to be spent with that.
Nice.
You can also find the link to our merchandise page where if you wish to show off your nerdery murdery fandom, please do consider purchasing something from that. That along with our Patreon, which our link is on the webpage for that as well. Our patrons and the people who purchase our merchandise, that goes to help with the costs that are associated with this show. It costs to keep us on the air for our uploads, for our website, for streaming service, and everything like that. So please do consider donating or purchasing some merchandise to help keep us on the air. We do appreciate each and every one of you.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. And last but not least, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review wherever you can. It really helps us and helps others find our content that may be looking for the information that we talk about. So with that,
I have been Zig with your nerdery.
and I'm Geoffrey with your murdering.
Cue the music.
Nerdery and murdery, two worlds collide, where science meets mystery, in shadows we hide. Gadgets and crime scenes mix up the show. Pocket protectors and secrets we know. Nerdery and murdery, cheats and detectives pave the way. Laughs and chills and all the thrills in every episode we stay. Solving equations, forensic delight. From board games to murders, they'll keep you up all night. Puzzle pieces and clues, forming stories so bright. Every twist a new clue, in the dark or in the light. Nerdery and murdery, cheats and detectives pave the way. Laughs and chills and all the thrills, in every episode we stay. Solving equations, forensic delight. From board games to murders, they'll keep you up all night. Puzzle pieces and clues, forming stories so bright. Every twist a new clue.